Hey guys, Sword here, back again with another action figure review. Today I'll be taking a look at the Mattel Creations exclusive Masters of the Universe Origins Demo Man. Brought to us by the, we'll say, not so fine folks over at Mattel. Not because this figure is bad or anything, in fact it is quite the opposite. However, Mr. Brian, aka my dad, aka the old man, when he went in to order me one of these awesome figures here, had quite a bit of trouble getting through the whole CAPTCHA thing. It took him about 7 minutes to get it done. And we all know that when it comes to drops like this, especially ones this cool, that's enough time for things to sell out. And that, my friends, is no good. But thankfully, that didn't happen, and obviously I was able to get a hold of one. That's why we are here today. But let's just say, screw CAPTCHA and all that it stands for, at least when it comes to orders with only one figure in them. I don't think a bot is going to only order one figure now, right? Right? Either way. With that being said, before we get too far ahead of ourselves, why don't we cut right to the chase and get into the meat and taters of this review and take a look-see at all Demo Man has to offer in terms of accessories, starting off with the mini comic, which is only a few pages long, so maybe it won't take T-Biz a half an hour to read it, but it's pretty dark, man. It's got something to do with Skeletor or Keldor being exorcised, and Demo Man here being the result of that. So that is pretty grim, if I do say so myself. And just to do a bit of premature comparison, moving good old Demo Man over here and bringing in his, what I like to call his daddy. Here he is with the Masters of the Universe Classics version of Demo Man, which you can see right down to some similarities in the head sculpt and the sculpt of the armor and some of the other accoutrements going on with this Origins release. Almost a carbon copy of the Classics version. The beard is very similar. The hair is very similar. The head sculpt is very similar. The armor is different because it's two different materials. The Classics has a softer armor piece. The Origins has a harder plastic piece. And it doesn't have that weird tuft of fur sticking off his back there, if you could see that little nubbin. But very awesome Classics figure, one of my favorites. Shout out to my good buddy Evil Villain for the hookup on that one. Can't thank him enough for that. That said, it's been quite a while since I've done a What's in the Box, so maybe those will come back someday. But getting him out of here, so we can take a closer look at this Demo Man's accessories and maybe compare them to some other accessories we have seen before. First and foremost, he comes with Fangor's sword, which kind of sucks. I would have liked him to have his own sword, especially since the Classics version came with this cutlass type sword. I mean, it's kind of close, but it's kind of not too. But there you go. That said, Demo Man's other weapon of choice is this Morning Star here, which, funny enough, when compared to the Classics version, is slightly bigger. It is slightly longer by the tiniest bit. But there you go. Almost the same freaking sculpt. I will say this one is a solid piece. It's a solid PVC piece. This one, the mace ball is a separate glued-on piece. It is softer, while the kind of, I don't know, whip part here, the what would normally be the chain and the handle, are harder plastic. That said, he also comes with this horned, helmeted skull head in the traditional bone color. That is an homage to this, which in the original Demo Man artwork by, I want to say Mark Taylor did that artwork. there was a little skull sitting on the ground by Demo Man's foot. It looked just like this. Granted, this one's got a jaw, this one doesn't, but this one's a little bit more useful as a head sculpt, and yes, you can use this one as a head if you want, but it's got no jaw, so you'll have to figure a story out or something else out to do with that, but you can easily use this head for a custom Origins figure if you want. But unfortunately, it does not work with the glow-in-the-dark skeletons we got. Kind of wish it had that glow-in-the-dark color to the skull instead of the bone color, but I understand why they did it. And last but not least, we do get an Alfredo Alcala, mini-comic inspired Skeletor head, which when compared to the original Origins Alcala Skeletor head with the jeweled red eyes is pretty similar. It's definitely the same sculpt, but I would say this new one, I don't think this new one has the jeweled eyes. I think they're just painted this time, whereas this older one has those jeweled eyes, so pick your poison there, I guess. In case you're wondering, here's how it compares to the Alcala Skeletor head the Classics Demo Man came with, sculpted by the Four Horsemen. You can see that that one's a lot gnarlier. The sculpt is way less soft, that's what she said, and it just looks 10 times scarier, so getting that out of here. That is what you get with this Demo Man figure. Quite a bit for the standard price point. You get 2 extra heads, 2 weapons, and you get a new torso piece, torso armor overlay piece, whatever you want to call it. His tunic, some new torso armor, the kind of shoulder strap there, the bicep pad, whatever you want to call it, and his head sculpt. That said, the rest of this is reuse. Oh, and new forearms, because he's got these spiked bracers this time around. But the rest of this guy is obviously reuse. Even the feet are reused from the cartoon collection. If I can get him out here. We just looked at this guy the other day. If these go up according to plan. The Filmation cartoon collection, cartoon collection, I should say. Web Store's got these same feet. They were first introduced with Merman, and I want to say that they were also used on Badra from the Tuvar and Badra Comic-Con exclusive set, but don't quote me on that. They could have both had boots. I just can't remember because mine is packed away in its package. But Demo Man here has the lower legs, which we first saw with Tongue Lasher in Origins, but were used way back in the Masters of WWE Eternia days with the John Cena that came with the Terror Claws, Triple H in the Gray Skull Ring playset. That's where I remember these first being used. Then you got your typical Origins legs, right up to your typical Origins crotch diaper piece, whatever you want to call it. His tunic is unfortunately one solid piece, so when you turn the waist, the kind of loincloth piece does not turn with it, whereas the Classics version, when you turn the waist, it is just the upper half of the tunic that is moving. Should also be worth noting that this guy's got 4 toes, whereas the new one only has, there he is, only has 3. That is interesting, but you know, it's what they had. 3 toes, 5 fingers, or 4 fingers and a thumb if you want to be that guy. That said, his armor up here, again, it's a harder plastic. It sits a certain way. I guess if you wanted to do some kit bashing with this guy in the Classics version, you can, to give him that softer armor piece, but I don't know how well that would fit on here, or the head sculpt for that matter, which, by the way, his head sculpt, very, very similar to the Classics one. Let me just give you a closer look at that. I mean, it is almost the same. This is just like the Keldor head from the Rise of Evil 2-pack. That was very close to the Classic sculpt. Even the Alcala Skeletor head is close to the Classic sculpt. It's just not as, I don't know, it's a lot softer. It's not as sharp. But this one, compared to this one, even this little strand of hair in his beard is like the same. I would say the only difference might be the scale, but even then, It's so close, I can't even tell, man. I can't even tell, man! But as far as this guy's articulation goes, he can look up pretty well. Down, not really at all because of the beard. He can rotate a little bit. Tilt. His head feels a bit smaller than the typical Origins heads as well. So I'm thinking maybe that's why I feel like they're reusing the Classics head. I don't know. It just feels like a strange case of deja vu, man. That said, the shoulders can go up, back down, forward and back. He's got a swivel in the bicep with a single hinge in the elbow there. Swivel in the bicep. That's the elbow, stupid. But he's got a single jointed elbow there. Swivel in the wrist with a hinge. Do kind of wish they gave him new hands with those kind of claws and the nails painted, but whatever. Again, he does have a waist twist, but the tunic does not move with that, which kind of sucks because they did that for Splinter. I don't know why they didn't do that for this guy. Said his hips can kick out to the side pretty well. Kick forward, he can kick back. He's got a swivel in the knee. Single jointed, ratcheted knees. He's got a calf cut, which is not the prettiest thing ever. I mean, the Classics one doesn't even have that. But what are you going to do? And then he does have a hinge in the foot with a rocker joint. So, there you go. That is Demo Man in a nutshell. I gotta tell you, it's been some time since I've felt this strongly about an Origins release. I think the last one may have been Scareglow, but that said, I did like the Skeleton Warrior 2-pack. But if you saw my top 13 action figures of 2023 video that I finally did, I did do it about a month ago now, you know that they did not make the cut, even though that was a killer value for, what, 30 bucks? Can't go wrong there. But I am strongly thinking that good old Demo Man here has a shot at cracking my top action figures of 2024, video, because he is really, really well done. The fine folks over at Mattel, you know, outside of Captcha, did a fine job with this figure. And that's saying a lot, because this year there's some stiff competition. Got another Mezco Ghost Rider, the Marvel Legends Danny Ketch Ghost Rider I've been waiting for years for them to make. The Mythic Legion's Skeleton Legion Builder version 2. That Medieval Spawn ships before the end of the year. He could be eligible. That Spawn with the wired cape from the Call of Duty line. The list goes on, man. Figura Obscura Anubis or Frankenstein's Creature. There's a lot that is going to be eligible for that video. And hopefully Demo Man will make the cut here, because there are some lines I didn't buy from this year that I bought from in the past. But we'll see. We'll see. That said, before we wrap this thing up, as I whack the camera, let's bring in our two regulars, the Mythic Legion's Brother Mandibulith, right there, and the infamous 11 Spawn, who, as usual, towers over everyone because he is not, I repeat, not a 5.5-inch scale figure. That said, what if the Horseman did an homage to good old Demo Man in Mythic Legions? That'd be pretty sick, right? That said, my wish list aside, it is time now for us to wrap this thing up with some final thoughts. Overall, and aside from the two very minor nitpicks I had with good old Demo Man here, those of course being the sword being reused from Fangor and the tunic not being broke up into two separate pieces, I have to say that this is by far my favorite Masters of the Universe Origins figure of 2024, which really isn't saying much because the Origins line has taken a bit of a shift as far as releases go. A lot of the core Origins releases have been either Mattel Creations exclusives or fan channel exclusives, and the bulk of what has been sent out to stores is either Turtles of Grayskull or Cartoon Collection, if you can even find them, that is. So, yeah, it's a bit of an off year for Origins, but hopefully things will be getting back on track soon. That said, can we please do away with the Captcha thing? The buying experience for this figure was not a very good one, if I do say so myself. Just ask Mr. Brian, aka my dad, aka the old man, about that one. So, with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this review. Until next time, I'll catch you guys later.